got this private message I was going to read.
Oh, yeah. That's time for that.
Hit
That's
that guy?
Great time.
Let's do that.
All right.
That is the right time.
This kind of relates back to Sean's surreal dream earlier. Not dream. But I was thinking about this guy during your whole tale
my
of the
friend,
guy.
my friend waking up and having that guy there.
Right. Well, this showed up in my 1UP inbox a few days ago. The subject was Shroom with me. 5 O's. The message is, Dear Jeffrey Green, I currently have 7 mature water bottle cultures of psilocybe semilanciata, I believe you say, a.k.a. Liberty Caps. Is it okay if I send you guys at GFW 3/8 of them? The package would be to Ziff Davis Media, Jeff Green. I'll look it up in the mag. That's great. Thanks, fella. That won't get me fired. By the way, I love the November issue. Right in the middle of the drug. By the way, I love the November issue.
That's his way of saying thanks.
Yeah, issue was spelled ISHU, by the way, issue. It won't have my address, and you can all trip balls and do a special podcast.
You just listen to it.
Please, Jeff, I'm begging you to let me send you psychotropic drugs. Yeah, you just listen to it.
He has since PM'd me many times, too, saying how serious he is, and he, in particular, wants Ryan to trip balls. Because he wants to hear Ryan go on a quote-unquote epic Guild Wars rant. He's like, you would get Ryan talking, I guarantee it.
I don't need to be high to do a Guild Wars rant.
Wow.
And then after that, I think like he could tell you weren't accepting his offer. He's like, could you tell Jeff I can send him some marijuana at least? Like,
why would I want that? I told him, thank you. That's very generous of you. As an employee of Ziff Davis Media, I'm afraid I have to say no. Thank you for the offer of the illegal drugs sent to my workplace.
You could have given him the address, but just have it be like San Francisco Police Department and just say CC Jeff Green.
Right.
Well, actually, you wouldn't want your name on it.
Probably not. Yeah.
Sorry.
Care of Games for Windows Mag. Yeah. So obviously I'm not going to say his name on the air.
Why not?
Okay, actually.
No, don't say his name.
No, I'm just kidding. I won't.
He's just trying to hook you up. More importantly, he's trying to hook Ryan up.
Yeah.
The problem is we can't, mushrooms, we can't have a 6-hour podcast. Maybe we could. We could describe our moods as the hours pass.
We could send
You'd have one listener. You'd have that guy.
Yeah, he'd be with us the whole way. I was going to tell one back on the mushrooms thing.
Let's do it. Yeah, that sounds good.
It's got nothing to do with me because I'm against all sorts of illegal substances. I've campaigned actively against them.
In the Reagan administration.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm one of the mothers against drunk driving.
It was also your idea to put in the box of Ferrara pan candies on when you open the flap to say no to drugs.
Actually,
say ugh to drugs.
Just say no was me. I gave that to
That's
Nancy
you.
Reagan.
Oh,
yeah.
Holy crap.
I gave
What
her
about that
slogan.
Different Strokes episode with Nancy Reagan? Was that?
I wrote that. I don't know why I'm telling the story. It's my first encounter with anybody on mushrooms. I actually was totally stone cold sober. I was at my dorm room in UC Berkeley. God's honest truth, I was sober. I was actually studying that night, and a friend of mine, this will age me, was at the Jethro Tull concert at the Oakland Coliseum. And he was on mushrooms, and I knew he had taken them to go to the show. And he came back from the show, and I ran into him in the hallway, and I was like holding my math book or whatever dweeby thing I was working on. And I said, "Hey, how was the Jethro Tull concert?" And he looked at me, and then he looked at the wall, and he kept looking at the wall for about 1 minute, which is a long time to be looking at the wall and not saying anything. And then he just kept looking at the wall, not saying anything, and I just said, "I'll see you tomorrow, okay?" Because I think after I asked him that question, he was kind of back at Jethro Tull at that moment.
I'm glad you asked. Let me show you.
Right. He was letting me know in his mind.
That's pretty harmless.
They opened with Aqualung.
Yeah,
You had to lick his sweat, and you would have been
Then
there
I would
with
have
him.
had the whole content.
At least he wasn't like trying to break down shit for you. Like, Jeff, have you ever thought about infinite space? And you're like, yeah. And then he goes, It just keeps going, and going, and going. There's stories like, the abbreviated version, but instances where someone was cranked out enough so that they having a party at their own house and they start thinking, this isn't Tony though, I talked about him before, he was a meth addict, but they have a party at their house and
is this the same guy with the dirty underwear, or is this
another one who suddenly becomes convinced that there are people in the walls, and so gets a hatchet and right in the middle of his own party in his own house starts chopping up that wall to find them people.
Whoa.
And now everyone searching for Marin.
And everyone goes running away, and that party's over just like that.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a party killer.
Nothing like that, yeah.
I saw a bunch of older people. Well, because I went to a Led Zeppelin tribute band concert a couple weekends ago, like in some small town, and it was all the locals, and they were all, fairly old, but they were all tripping balls. And there was like this, it was weird. It was like seeing, almost like your grandpa just wandering around. There was one old guy, he looked more like Cliff Clavin, except an older Cliff Clavin. He just kept like barreling through the crowd and just like, what the fuck, dude? I felt like I was about ready to have to throw down with Cliff Clavin because he kept
Who's Cliff Clavin?
Cheers. From Cheers, man. You don't get any of the TV references. You got to rent some DVDs and get hip with the pop culture.
Okay.
But eventually the old bouncer took out the old Cliff Clavin, like young concert style. Basically came up, grabbed him, and dragged him out.
Wow.
And it was
he was trying to mosh or something to like a
he was
Led Zeppelin
he was
cover?
also like basically I think just trying to cop feels on all the ladies.
Check.
Well, the thing is, your older rock and rollers are getting older now. Yeah, but they're still rock and rolling, and I'm talking about myself.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I was last Thursday. I went to the Bruce Springsteen concert at the Oakland Coliseum, and you can go ahead and mock Bruce Springsteen, but in his day he was.
You don't talk shit on the boss.
He was cool in his day. He's still the boss, and it was a great concert. But what I noticed was, the section we were sitting in. First of all, the seats cost like $100 a piece. So, that's not a very rock and roll sort of thing, And basically everybody in our section is like dockers wearing like fucking, practically everybody in the section I was in at some point during the show was texting. Like,
during the
texting
concert?
to their babysitter or whatever. People are,
you won't believe where I'm at right now.
Yeah, but not in a
He's
kid
playing
way.
Born to Run.
It was like an adult way. I mean, it was all people like my age and older. And it felt very kind of like, oh man,
just
bad. And watching everybody dance, which they probably look like the way I was. It was like, oh, this is just so depressing. Yeah,
that happens.
I was born to run. But the thing I noticed, the thing that really blew me away about this concert was I'd actually been at the Oakland Coliseum 27 years ago to see the same guy, to see Springsteen. I remember how awesome that was. It was 4 hours long, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the night, when the Bruce leaves the staging and waiting for the encores. I don't know when the last time you guys have been to a big time rock concert was. The end of the night, the lighter thing. People don't do lighters anymore. You know what it is now?
Did you try to bring that back?
Fucking cell phones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody holds up their cell phone,
I've seen
and
that.
the lights of the cell phones are going around the Coliseum.
That made me very sad the first time.
Yeah.
And also, like, you ever get a call from some buffoon, and you pick up the phone?
Guess where
it's
I
like,
am?
and it's like, hey, you just text back, fuck you.
But I did notice so the cell phone light bummed me out, but I did notice the aroma of marijuana wafting up through the old folks crowd, and I saw people down in the floor, all the old people kind of dancing away, and I felt like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, we can still do this.
It's weird though. Even just at the party that Crispin was talking about with the Halloween costumes, there were some people various points of the night out here. I'm talking about the new Radiohead album, and I think it's a great album, but it really put it in perspective. I was like, man, it reminds me of, like whatever 10 years ago when you hear the 30 somethings and they're just talking about, oh, that Pink Floyd, they got a new album out, or that if you got to hear the new Moody Blues, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, my big problem
shit,
around,
we're already there.
Yeah, it's on the old
we're already
oldie
there.
station now. Now you know how I feel. What I can't stand about this particular floor, where there's lots of you young folk here with your new video game jobs, is I'll be sitting in my office playing something like Nirvana, and one of these fucking editors, like whatever Donahoe or whatever, he actually didn't do it, but that age bracket will come by and go, "Wow, you listen to Nirvana? That's so cool." And I'm like, "Shit,
Jesus
motherfucker,
Christ.
they're my age. Fuck you."
That's Waja.
Wow, you don't listen to Guy Lombardo?